Jessie Vargas is a good fighter, undefeated, but there's been talk about him. There's always been speculation because some people think there's a couple fights he won that maybe he didn't win, that he's gotten gift decisions. Is that fair? And what do you think? Is he a legitimate undefeated fighter, or do you think he's like some other people that he had some gift decisions?
Well, Jessie Vargas is he's a fan-friendly fighter, and I mean, honestly, if I was to be a judge, I mean, I'm a trainer, but if I was to judge some of his fights in the past, I've seen him, go through some trouble in 3 of his fights. Giving him the decision, I mean, it's a done deal. But honestly, I really thought Jessie maybe lost a couple or a few fights in his career. But I mean, that was one of my main concerns going into this fight with Bradley. At the point when he had Roy Jones. I said, I thought about it and I mentioned it to Tim. I said, my main concern in this fight is this. Jessie Vargas is a young kid, Mexican-American kid, still young. And, going a decision with him, a close decision that the judges lean his way. Because, he's younger, he's a Mexican-American fighter, and at the time, he had an element in his corner, which was Roy Jones, who plays a big role on HBO. And this is an HBO event. But now that Roy Jones is no longer part in the picture, it's still a little bit of concern, the fact that Eric Morales came in to train Jessie Vargas. But we have to win this fight decisively. We have to, basically not leave it up to the judges. Because Tim's last fight, we won the fight and they give it a draw. So we don't want to go into the same situation in which we go a distance and it's a close decision and we get a draw or we lose to a Jessie Vargas. So that was one of my main concerns, but we got it all handled. We're training really well so that we won't have to leave it up to the judges.
Does that change how you approach a fight? Because, Tim's very fit and athletic, and so sometimes you'll take guys deep into the fights just to wear them down. Is that something that you have to reconsider because of the history of Vargas's fights and then what happened to your last fight? Do you have to start reconsidering your strategy?
Well, we have all kinds of strategies, going into this fight. We take that in consideration. We know that Jessie Vargas doesn't have the power, to hurt Tim. I mean, and maybe Tim, a lot of people say, okay, he don't have the power to hurt Jessie. So it's gonna be a fight that it's gonna be a great fight because those guys, both of them, come to fight. But I just think that endurance-wise, experience-wise, Tim is the better man. Mm-hmm. I know that if I want Tim to get in there and overwhelm Jessie, he's gonna do it. If I have Tim box Jessie, he'll box him. But it just depends on what they got. We're ready for whatever they got. We're gonna execute any plans they got.